Parshat Chayei Sara, the life of Sara. What is it about the Parsha that conveys to us the life of Sara as opposed to her death, which is really what takes place in this Parsha? Abraham and Sarah are the quintessential marriage partners. Each of them represents a unique perspective on the world, while simultaneously navigating a shared destiny and a mission. Without Sarah, Abraham cannot be Abraham, and without Abraham, Sarah cannot be Sarah. Where he was compassionate, she was pragmatic. Where he's indecisive, she's decisive. Where he displays ambivalence, she's unequivocal. His tent could be open on all sides because she acts as the sentinel through which all outsiders must pass. She sets the goal, she pursues the mission, uncompromising and intolerant. She knew that with a covenantal destiny and divine mission comes harsh realities and at times survival instincts that entail sacrifice, self-interest, and sometimes even one's own ethical compass. A parasha, Chayei Sara, is named for Sarah's life rather than her death because in it, Abraham emulates her legacy. He understands that he must now play the role of Abraham and that of Sarah. He has to balance compassion and pragmatism, ideology and realism. He has to claim a stake in the land, not by bequest, but by right and might. He must keep his eyes on the goal. He has to have more children, has to become the father of many nations. He sends them away from before Yitzchak to prevent them becoming a threat to the Abrahamic covenant. In other words, he must live the clarity of Sarah's perspective through the framework of his own compassionate vision. It's an almost impossible feat. To have the passion, strength of belief, determination of a youngster balanced with the understanding, nuanced, and wisdom-seeking outlook of an elder. Sarah never lost the passion of her youth. We're told she died at 100 years, 20 years, 7 years. She was always still aligned with her younger self. She remained married to her ideological goals and pursued the divine covenantal mission until her dying day. It's what made her so admirable and so compelling. She was willing to sacrifice everything, her dignity in Egypt and Gra, her motherhood through Ishmael, her relationship to her husband through Hagar. But ultimately, it wasn't enough to contain the nuance of the Akedah. We're told in the Midrash that the moment of the kimat v'lo, the moment of the almost, she dies not knowing for sure whether Abraham is alive, whether Yitzchak is alive or dead. And it's the kimat v'lo, the almost moment. It cannot be applied to all peoples at all times. The nuance, the enigma, the balance between different things. It's not for all Jews living at all moments of history. Sometimes history demands we adopt the model of Sarah rather than the model of Abraham. Today, we stand in fear and trepidation, questioning our behavior, question if we've been too benevolent, too understanding, too naive of our perception of the world, of our enemies, of human nature. For many of us, what was shattered on Simchat Torah, the 7th of October, was not just the belief in ourselves, in our strength, in our security, in our military prowess. Perhaps more hauntingly, it was our belief in the goodness of humanity, in the Abraham persona, in the legacy of the tent open on all sides. It was a call for us to return to the legacy of Sarah, to listen to her voice, Shama b'kola, exactly what God says to Abraham. The legacy that says in unequivocal terms to our Abraham tendencies that prefer compassion and empathy, Garesh ha'amazot ve'et bana, cast out this woman and her son. The legacy of Sarah, willing to sacrifice herself at the hands of kings for the sake of covenantal survival, the legacy that sees reality in the binary categories of right and wrong, good and evil, black and white, that has little patience for apologetics or liberal gymnastics. This is not the time to find 10 righteous men in stone, nor is it the time to argue about whether a specific action is righteous or not. It's the time for our survival, to know that the future of our people depends on us making sometimes ruthless decisions that may compromise our established ethical proclivities. It's a time to return to the days of our youth and adopt the uncompromising ideology of the Zionist dream, the secret of our 3,000 years survival that united us in the past and must unite us today. To close ranks, huddle tight together, and remind ourselves again and again, in the words of Golda Meir, we have nowhere else to go. We need to mirror Abraham's actions in this week's parasha. Grieve, eulogize, bury our loved ones, repossess our land, knowing that we have everything to ensure that never again will truly, once and for all, be never again, so that at some time in the future, we will and we may return to the legacy of Abraham that refuses to only live in survival mode and shut itself off from its wider and more comprehensive religious and national mission. One day we will return to the perspective that is able to house ambiguity and nurture compassion and promote peace with strangers and foster a deep and powerful religious humanism. But at this moment, and in the meantime, the legacy of Sara lives on.